Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Inshallah, you are able to hear me, and if I get the confirmation, I will start. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah al-aliy al-azim. Alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina wa nabiyyina Abil Qasim al-Mustafa Muhammad wa ala alihi al-tayyibin al-tahirin. La siyama baqiyatillah fil aradin. Ajjalallahu ta'ala farajahu al-sharif. Alhamdulillah, um, we are able to have once again our session, and this time is from Qom, and because Fajr time here is just about 5:30, which is your 9 p.m., so we had to have some delay. I'm sorry. Now we can continue with the rest of Munajatul Arifin. We have had 2 sessions so far, and we reached this section. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. إلهي ما ألذ خواطر الإلهام بذكرك على القلوب. O Allah, my Lord, how enjoyable, how pleasing, how sweet is for the hearts to have thoughts which inspire your remembrance. Aladha comes from ladha. Ladha means pleasure, opposite to alam, which is pain. So ladha means pleasure. Ladid means something which brings pleasure. It can be physical pleasure, like for example when you are thirsty and you drink water. It can be mental pleasure, like when you understand something. It can be spiritual pleasure, like when you have good feelings in your salat, for example. So ma aladha means how pleasurable, how nice, how sweet, how pleasing is. Khawatir is plural form for khatira, which means something that occurs to your mind or to your heart, some ideas, some thoughts that come. Ilham means inspiration, and dhikr means remembrance. The dhikr comes with your remembrance, and qulub means hearts. So the idea is that sometimes some thoughts are inspired by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they come to our heart, to our mind. We are not fully aware of what is the source of these thoughts. It's not that, for example, you have been thinking about something and you made an argument and you proved it for yourself, so now you have a conclusion. No, these are something which occur, something which happen. It has its own cause, and because we don't know it, so we say it's inspiration from God. But how does God inspire us? We don't know. Just we know that it seems it comes from somewhere else. I am not responsible for that. Sometimes, you put yourself into the same condition, hoping that the same things repeat, and they never repeat. So maybe sometime when you are praying, when you are reading Quran, when you are contemplating, some beautiful thoughts come to your mind, and then you want to plan for it next time. So you want to do the same thing. So you try to observe the same dua, the same actions, the same timing, but they may not come. So this shows that these are not the results of our own performance. Our performance was important, but it was just part of it. It's up to Allah to decide when and where to inspire us with those thoughts. So we say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how nice, how sweet is for the hearts to have those occurring thoughts of your remembrance through inspiration, so that you inspire them to remember you in a very pleasant way. To remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a very broad concept, and it's much more than invocating some of the names of God or some of the things that God has done for us. When our heart is oriented towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when we are receiving light from God and we can appreciate that light and reflect that light, this is remembrance of Allah. And there are different ways to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything good that we do is a remembrance of Allah. And if among the things that we can do which are good, we do the best things, so our remembrance of Allah is better. And this is why Prophet Musa ala nabiyina wa alayhi wa salam asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to assist him with several things. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي واجعل لي وزيرا من أهلي هارون أخي. He asked several things from Allah in Surah Taha. He wanted to have a great patience and capacity of heart. He wanted Allah make his affairs easy. He wanted to have no blockage in his tongue so that he can speak and people can understand properly. He asked to have a helper from himself, and that is his brother Arun. But then he says, all this is كَيْ نُسَبِّحَكَ كَثِيرًا وَنَذْكُرَكَ كَثِيرًا, so that we can remember you, we can glorify you more. And after few verses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also tells them, لَا تَنِيَا فِي ذِكْرِي, you must do your best to remember me and don't do it less than what is appropriate. So remembrance of Allah includes everything that Musa did in future, and he wanted to do more of good things. So it's not something just like mentioning some of the names of Allah or invocating Allah's name. It's the whole orientation that we should have with our body, with our mind, with our heart. If I commit some sins with my physical organs, like looking at bad things or hearing bad things, or if my mind is preoccupied with bad thoughts, or if my heart is occupied with bad things, this means that my remembrance of Allah is not complete. So I have to make sure that I have best remembrance of Allah for me. If I do the best possible things within my capacity, then I am in a state of remembrance of Allah. So sometimes we are inspired by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to do good things, to remember good things, to make good intentions, good decisions. Sometimes we have very beautiful thoughts about Allah, about our life. So we feel very close to Allah. We feel we are well oriented. We are well functioning at that time. We are tuned properly. So that is the time that these beautiful experiences happen. وَمَا أَحْلَى الْمَسِيرَ إِلَيْكَ بِالْأَوْهَامِ في مسالك الغيوب. Ahla comes from halawa, which means sweetness. Hul is sweet, and in Arabic we say halawiyat for, sweets and like candies and so on and so forth. Al-masira ilayk means traveling to you. Awham means thoughts, imaginations. Masalik means roads, and ghuyub means the hidden things, the unseen. So we say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَمَا أَحْلَى الْمَسِيرَ إِلَيْكَ بِالْأَوْهَامِ فِي مَسَالِكِ الْغُيُوبِ. Very beautiful and very deep. How sweet is traveling towards you with or through thoughts, imaginations, upon the roads of the unseen. Sometimes our journey towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very obvious, is very clear. We are traveling on the roads of the seen, of shuhud. For example, when I am doing something with my body as an act of worship, I pray, I fast, I go for Hajj, for ziyarah, to visit my parents, to do Salih Rahim, visit the kinship, to help people. So these are very beautiful, very good, and very much needed. But in addition to this, sometimes you get involved in deep thinking and actually active thinking, not just sitting somewhere and doing nothing and you say, I am thinking. Even thinking is to be very active, is to be well planned, well regulated, and well directed so that it produces results. Sometimes we are not doing anything and we think that we are thinking. So when we are involved in this deep and active thinking, so maybe my body is not doing anything. I am here. I am not going anywhere. I'm not visiting anywhere. I'm not doing anything special with my body. I'm not spending anything. But what happens is that I am traveling, not on a normal road, a visible, obvious road. I'm traveling on a special road of the unseen, through my thoughts, my ideas. And sometimes these are more powerful. تفكر ساعة أفضل من عبادة السنة. Thinking, contemplating for an hour or for some time, this sa'a doesn't necessarily mean 60 minutes, is better than worshipping for a year, or according to some hadith, 60, 70 years, depending on the quality. After performance of our wajibat, our acts of worship, then this thinking is very important. I'm not saying not to do anything mustahab and just think, but I'm saying that in addition to all the mustahabbat that we do, we have to have some time for thinking. And sometimes it is through thinking and developing your thoughts and ideas that you come to a better understanding of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a better understanding of your role in this world, a better understanding of what you have done in the past, a better understanding of what you are supposed to do in future. You can sometimes discover your problems. You can go deep into your heart and find out the bad habits that you have. You can judge between yourself and other people in fairness. So there are many, many things that you can achieve when you travel on this road of unseen, this road which is not very obvious. Maybe a person is sitting next to you and he doesn't know what you do. He thinks that you are not doing anything, but you are indeed traveling. You are journeying. So, وَمَا أَحْلَى الْمَسِيرَ إِلَيْكَ بِالْأَوْهَامِ فِي مَسَالِكِ الْغُيُوبِ. How sweet is traveling towards you through thoughts, imagination, upon the roads of the unseen. Then we say, وَمَا أَطْيَبَ طَعْمَ حُبِّكَ وَمَا أَطْيَبَ طَعْمَ حُبِّكَ. It should be طَعْمَ. How pleasant is the taste of your love. This is said by someone who has tasted really the love for Allah, by Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam. The taste of Allah's love, which means love for Allah, is so great that, as we said before, it's impossible to taste it and then look for something else. As Imam Zainul Abidin says elsewhere, who is the one who has tasted the sweetness of your love and then he has looked for some replacement? Something like this: Ilahi man zalladhi dhaqa halawata mahabbatika farama minka badala. Who is the one who has tasted this and now looks for something else? Imam Sajjad alayhi salam says this not only through his theoretical knowledge. We all know that. For all of us, it's obvious that the most pleasant thing for a human being is to have this love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But Imam Sajjad alayhi salam also speaks out of experience. He has really experienced and tasted this love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and has found it to be most pleasing thing. I think we also more or less maybe have experienced this, but I'm not sure if we have ever had that experience in its intensity, in its real form that the friends of Allah taste. You know, it's like, for example, few people looking at something, and imagine, for example, there's a beautiful painting and all of them say, I have enjoyed, this is very interesting. So they have had some experience, but you are not sure whether they have really understood the beauty of this painting. It needs some qualifications. Maybe among those who say it's very beautiful, you can have different levels, and only one of them, or maybe even none of them, has the best understanding, maybe someone outside. So we all talk about the sweetness of the love for Allah, and we are honest, and we have really experienced this. maybe sometime during our salat, during our, I don't know, nights of Qadr, during Hajj or Ziyarah, after doing something good, we had that very strong feeling of love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We feel very much close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In that time, nothing matters for us. In that time, we just want to keep talking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't want to be distracted by anything. If in that particular time you are asked whether you want to have a long life or short life, whether you want to have lots of money or not, nothing matters for you. Okay, we may have that experience, but still we have to be sure that there is much more possible if we taste the love for Allah in the way that His friends taste. Then it would be very difficult for someone like us to remain normal, to remain very organized and, disciplined in the life. You become like mad people. You become like drunk people. If the love for Allah becomes very strong in your heart, and you are not a person who has that caliber like the friends of Allah, like Ma'sumin and Awliyaullah, you would not be able to cope with it. You would lose your interest in everything. You don't want to talk to anyone. You don't want to eat. You don't want to drink. You don't want to travel. You don't want to go to work. Because very powerful experience. You just want to be with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's a sacrifice for a lover of Allah to do other things and to spend time on other things, to spend energy on other things. It needs great capacity. Otherwise, Allah is so nice, so attractive, so beautiful, so kind, so loving, so much available to you, which is very important. You want a beloved who is available to you, that would leave no chance, nothing extra, so that you can think about other things. It's very important to learn how to love Allah that much and still act normally, so that no one notices that you have such a love for Allah. To have that intensive and strong love for Allah, and then still pay attention to other things, the things which happen around. It's very difficult, and many of us have no capacity for doing that. We need to learn, we need to experience. So we hope that inshallah Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us both. Gives us that strong love for Him, and at the same time give us the ability to have proper behavior with respect to the rest of our life. وَمَا أَعْظَبَ شَرْبَ قُرْبِكَ. How delightful. أَعْظَبَ comes from adb. This is different from adab. Adab means punishment, but adb means something which is sweet. We had this before about water, for example. Here again we have it about water. Adb. Adban means very nice, very sweet, very cool. When you have very good water for drinking, this water is adb. وَمَا أَعْظَبَ شِرْبَ قُرْبِكَ. How delightful is the drink of your nearness. Imagine a river which has very nice water, and that river is the river of nearness to Allah. If you drink water of river which is nearness to Allah, you will be fully satisfied. Your thirst will be quenched. وَمَا أَعْظَبَ شِرْبَ قُرْبِكَ فَأَعِذْنَا مِنْ طَرْدِكَ وَإِبْعَادِكَ. Now that loving you, remembering you, being close to you is so pleasant, so sweet, so nice, so much meeting our needs, responding to our questions. So please save us from being far from you. فَأَعِذْنَا means so give us refuge. مِنْ طَرْدِكَ وَإِبْعَادِكَ from thy casting out. Tard means to send back, to reject, and ib'ad means to send far. They are similar. So please give us refuge, protection from pushing us back, casting out, or sending us far. It means that please don't let us be far from you. Please don't send us back. We want to be close to you. We don't want to be like Shaitan, who was given nearness but he didn't appreciate, and Allah then sent him out of heaven and also made him far from himself. He was rejected. He was matrud. He was rajim. So please save us from that. And we should be very concerned about this, because if we are rejected, then it would be very difficult to come back. Many people may never come back. وَجَعَلْنَا مِنْ أَخَصِّ عَارِفِيكَ. In material achievements, worldly pleasure, we should be content. We should not be greedy. We should not be too much ambitious. But when it comes to spiritual blessings and bounties, we should be ambitious. We shouldn't be content. If it is, for example, a worldly house, I should be content with something reasonable for someone like me. But if it comes to a house in heaven, I should try to make it as big as possible, as large as possible. If it comes to a worldly rich, I should try to have something reasonable, something that I can manage. There is no problem in having great amount of money, but as much as you are in control of it, not that you will be controlled by your money. You can be a billionaire, but if you can control it, if you know what you are doing, if you are not driven by your money, no problem. Have it as much as you can. Indeed, it's good if you are a servant of Allah, you have lots of money and you possess your money. You are not possessed by your money. You are spending it in a proper way. But many people cannot. But when it comes to a spiritual rich, there's no problem. You can have it as much as possible. That would make you even more humble and would make you more managing and more in control of what you have. So here in this Munajatul Arifin, which is a whispered prayer for the people who are either Arif, a true knower of Allah, or they want to be Arif, we say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that I hope to be able to be elevated to the position of Akhas Arifik, the select of your knowers, the elite, the chosen ones. Means I don't want to be just a normal, an average Arif. I want to be among the best. This is good. This is to be ambitious. As we say in Quran, وَجَعَلْنَا لِلْمُتَّقِينَ إِمَامًا. I don't want just to be muttaqi. I want to be a leader for muttaqin, for the pious. And I always say that if you aim at something like this, either you achieve it or you achieve something a little less. But if you achieve, if you aim at just being pious, there is a chance that you may not even be pious. If someone aims at getting A in his exam, then he may get A or B or C. But if someone says, I just want to pass the exam, so maybe he gets F. So we have to be careful. So we have to raise our expectations, of course, in a realistic way. We have to be ambitious in spirituality. So we say, oh Allah, please include me among the elect or the select of your knowers. وَأَصْلَحِ عِبَادِكَ, the most righteous of your servants. وَأَصْدَقِ طَاعِيكَ, among the most honest, the most truthful of your obeyers, of the people who are obedient to you. This sadaqah is very important. This sadaqah, this honesty, this truthfulness is very important, because nothing works without truthfulness. If it's a just kind of lie, if it's unreal, it doesn't work. It's causing more problem. In many lectures, I have been talking about this honesty and truthfulness, especially in the lectures about indicators of piety. We finally discussed this point. Gradually we built up and we reached this point that this commitment to the truth is one of the most important, if not the most important, quality of a muttaqi, of a mu'min. And indeed, obedience to Allah is a result of commitment to the truth, because Allah is al-haq. And you cannot be obedient to Allah when you deny the truth or you don't bother about the truth. So we ask Allah to be put among the most truthful of the people who obey Him. وَأَخْلَصَ عُبَّادِكَ, the purest, the most sincere of your worshippers. Ubbad is the plural form for abid. So we want to be a worshipper of Allah, but not a person who just worships without purity, without sincerity. We want to be among the most sincere of his worshippers. Ya Azimu, Ya Jalil, O great, O almighty, O majestic. Ya Karimu, Ya Munil, O generous, O noble. Karim is generous, noble. Munil is the one who enables us to reach, the one who gives us, O endure, O endower. Birahmatika wa mannika, Ya Arhamar Rahimin. By your mercy, by your man, means your favor. You can say your kindness, but man means some favor which is great. Sometimes Allah obliges us by giving us too much. Rahmatika wa mannika ya arhamar rahimin, O most merciful of the merciful. So this is the key, as always, for everything that we request. At the end, these are the qualities of Allah, including His mercy, that can help us to achieve. We should have clear vision about what we want. We should request Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We should work hard, but we should also invest on His mercy. Okay, Alhamdulillah, we finished this Munajatul Arifin, and inshallah from next week we will start with Munajatul Zakirin, inshallah. Question 1. Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh, alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Would an Arif always abstain from the worldly interest and pleasure? No, it's not a matter of abstaining from worldly interest and pleasure by, for example, being isolated, by not eating, not drinking, not having, for example, any trip, any journey, any holiday, any visitation. No, it's not a matter of that, but it's a matter of attitude. Muntab, we have to be careful. Sometimes we do everything and we rationalize, we justify, and say, I have a great interest in having, for example, lots of money, and this money is not causing a problem for me. It's not preoccupying our mind. Okay, in principle this is possible, but are you sure that you are one of those people? Or for example, I spend lots of, for example, time on preparing, I don't know, nice meal, very delicious meal. And I say, because Mu'min also has to enjoy himself, or I want to, for example, make my family enjoy. Okay, this is a good reason, but are you really sure that this is your intention? So we have to be careful. But in principle, the main thing is, I think, two things. There are two main things. One is to reduce our worldly engagement, our worldly pleasure. Reduce it. I'm not saying delete it, but those which are not necessary, it's better to keep away and have it as normal. Normal among the believers, not normal among the all people, because we are concerned with the mu'min. And second thing is to correct our attitude. You must have clear idea why I am doing this, why I am going after this worldly thing. If it is, inshallah, for the sake of Allah, if it is to help you to have a peaceful mind so that you can better concentrate on your piety, spirituality, on your journey, that is good. So we should stop unnecessary engagement with dunya, unnecessary interaction with the people who work for dunya. And second, we must be always concerned about our attitude, why I am doing this. Otherwise, there is no problem in being active, in being rich, in having good house, good car, I don't know, lots of maybe, for example, companies, factories, whatever. In principle, there is no problem, but as I said, we have to be careful about these points. Can a person be an Arif and not follow the Sharia? It's not possible unless a person is confused. If a person is confused, maybe he, for example, tries hard to obey Allah and he thinks that Sharia is not necessary, and he has no good understanding of Sharia, not good exposure to Sharia, or the Sharia which he knows is not a proper Sharia. So maybe there are exceptional cases that there are people who have excuse and they reach some level of closeness to Allah. either by following other types of religions, or maybe, for example, being a Muslim and not following that much Sharia because they are confused. Maybe they achieve something, but it's impossible for a person of understanding and a person of uh, intelligence to think of being an Arif and then disregard the Sharia which is legislated by Allah Himself. Sharia provides us with the boundaries of journey towards Allah. It's not enough, but it's necessary. So that fixes the boundaries that you have to move within those boundaries. But then you have to have more than commitment to Sharia. If you just want to observe Sharia, so you would do only the minimum. But in addition to that, you have to do lots of other things, lots of moral, spiritual things, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Sharia has not made everything which is useful, necessary and obligatory. He has made those things which are very, very much needed obligatory, because He doesn't want to make His Sharia difficult for people to practice. We shouldn't expect from all people to be committed to this journey towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the way that mystics and true knowers of Allah want to do it. Everyone is not necessarily a wayfarer. So Sharia says this amount is necessary, and you have to make sure that you don't go beyond these boundaries. But if you want to do more, so then we have more guidance for you through akhlaq, through spirituality, and therefore the minimum, the bottom line is Sharia. Okay, this is the second question. It seems that we don't have any more questions, so I think I should stop here. And I thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala again for this opportunity that gave us. I hope that inshallah this was useful for you. What I'm sharing with you is just my humble thoughts and my little experience. Maybe you yourself, you don't know many things better than me. So if there is any way that you can share with me your thoughts, please don't hesitate. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us. We are traveling together. We are like a group of people who are pilgrims. We are like doing Hajj together. We are just trying to help each other. So I am also a traveler. Inshallah, you are a better traveler than me. We are just helping each other. And I by no means have claimed that I understand properly everything and I practice properly everything. Just I'm a little humble brother of you and in need of your du'as. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable us to taste this beautiful experience of Arifin, and inshallah we ourselves become witness of the beauty of this for other people. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Khuda hafiz.